Immediately, according to you, said there's a warrant out for your arrest. What do you think was behind that? And tell us about that.
I had no idea. I looked at him and I said, there's no warrant for my arrest. I've never done anything wrong. So he asked me where I lived. I said, California. I gave you a California driver's license. He asked me how long I had lived there, why my parents moved me there. And then he went back to run, I guess, the name with my middle name. So he said, he comes back to the car and says, oh, you're right. You don't have a warrant. And I said, sir, can I ask you a question? Are you doing this because we're black? Shortly after that, he just looked at me with like this really stern look and he said no. And then he tapped on the car and he walked back to his car. Before I knew it, he was putting on gloves and handcuffing Dennis.
Unbelievable.
And I asked him, was I under
story.
arrest? Was I under arrest? Did I do anything wrong? He said no. I said, well, why are you handcuffing me? He said, because I can.
And then he came back and I was on the phone. I was tweeting that they just put Dennis in handcuffs and I was texting my mother. He took the phone out of my hand and put it in the car and I said, wait, what are you going to do? I want to text my mom and let her know where I am. He said, you could text her in a minute. And I said, are you going to handcuff me too? And he said, yeah. I said, why? And he said, for his safety.
How did it make you feel? I know that people say, oh, don't ask that question, but really it's at the heart. How did it make you feel?
I was scared for our life because he was talking about his safety. He had already reached for his gun once. We hadn't done anything wrong. It was like something out of a movie.
It's crazy because
Go
our
ahead.
lives could have been ended in a matter of seconds for nothing. And it has to stop.
I want to ask you to stand by. I want to go to our panel. Ariva Martin, the sheriff, has said discrimination in any form, including racial profiling, is strictly prohibited by this department. And as Sheriff Marion County, I can assure you I will take immediate and appropriate action to investigate the allegations of racial profiling. An internal investigation. I don't know. Ariva, about an internal investigation.
I don't know either, Jane, about an internal investigation. I'd like to see the state's attorney get involved in this case. How many of these cases do we have to have before something changes? You know, we've heard about the president who was stopped in Harlem. We just saw the stop and frisk law in New York being determined, you know, to be illegal. African Americans and Latinos are racially profiled in high numbers in this country, and it must end. I'd like to see this officer involved. I'd like to see him disciplined, and I'd like to see some widespread sensitivity training for officers. African Americans are not criminals, and when you're, you know, stopped, they're not criminals, and they can't be treated like criminals just because of the color of their skin. And that's what happened to these two individuals, and it must stop.